Why most change fails and how to fix it with systems thinking. Change is hard. Most organizational change efforts unfortunately fail, but not because of bad intentions, but because they ignore how systems actually work. So, in this video, I'm going to give you a brief outline on how you can approach change and how you can use communications to do it as well. Welcome back to my channel. I am Serena with more than 20 years experience in communications, public relations, and the media. I'm also a content creator, a chartered practitioner of public relations, a systems thinker. Much more about me in the description. Let's get straight into this. So early on in my career, I worked on a major industry, a print industry, sorry, wide initiative. And this was in print publishing. And rather than rushing into decisions at the time, we spent months, and I didn't know that this was a really good thing. This was just how we were doing it. We spent months engaging decision making stakeholders and very key audience groups before even making a single decision. It felt slow, but when the time came to act, the change landed smoothly because people had already been part of the process from the start. Now, too often, leaders fall into the trap of DAD, DAD, decide, announce, defend, making top down decisions, rolling them out, and then scrambling to justify them when resistance emerges. It's a recipe for confusion, frustration, and failure. Now, there's a better way. Another acronym, EDD: engage, diagnose, and design. By treating organizations as interconnected systems and using strategic communication, we can implement change that actually sticks. So, why systems thinking matters in change. And if you're still watching and you're tuned in, then I would love it if you subscribed and helped this new and growing channel. So, as a systems thinking practitioner, new practitioner, if you like, currently in my postgrad study on the subject and already implementing it in my strategic work, I've learned that organizations, actually, I've been reminded that organizations aren't machines when you can swap out a part and expect everything to work smoothly. Organizations are complex and they are interdependent systems. Change in one area, whether it's structure, technology, or culture, we always hear a lot about culture change, right? Any change in these areas will send shockwaves through the whole organization. Without understanding these ripple effects and even anticipating them, even well intended initiatives can backfire. So, this is where systems thinking comes in. Instead of focusing on isolated fixes, it helps leaders see the bigger picture. I always say zoom out. So, systems thinking helps leaders to anticipate unintended consequences and guide change more effectively. So, this is how EDD, remember what that is? It's to engage, diagnose, and then design. How EDD transforms change communication, if you like. So, first, engage. Before making decisions, bring people into the conversation. Employees, customers, and stakeholders have critical insights into how change will actually play out. Engagement builds trust and it will surface risk early on. Now, building trust early on means that when the change actually rolls out, you'll find that your audience could actually be your advocates as well. especially if there are any hiccups. 2, diagnose. Now, use a systems thinking approach to map out relationships, the dependencies, any friction points. You can do this on a mind map. Just go for it. You can even Google systems maps, and there's so many things will come up. But just start with a spider diagram. Note down any processes, behaviors, incentives that could potentially clash with the proposed change. So, really just dump everything out on a piece of paper. Now, understanding these before rolling out changes will prevent any surprises. Now, here's an insight before we get to 3. This process may not be a linear one, and you need to be okay with that. Don't expect it to be. Often, when we capture intelligence in a myriad of ways, it can be like a patchwork quilt as we piece it together to form a bigger picture. And I spoke about being a bricklayer. You can find that somewhere here. I'll link it. Number 3, design. Now, with real input and a clear picture of the system, design the change and a communication strategy if it's relevant. Align the messaging, create the feedback loops, and ensure that transparency is there to avoid any resistance. Now, you've got to win the change game. So, this is actually how you're going to do it. Most leaders default to dad, the decide, announce, and then defend because it's fast and easy. But it might be quick at first, but it'll take you longer to correct and even have to course correct or change altogether and start with EDD. So we don't want to meet failure. So what you want to do to win the change game is use EDD, which takes more effort up front, but it pays off with smoother and much more sustainable change. With systems thinking and strategic communication, organizations can turn change from a struggle into a success story. Are you using DAD or are you using EDD? Are you ready to switch to a new way of thinking? I would love to hear from you. Perhaps you're doing this in some frame, some format, and you hadn't realized. And that's really what I'm here for. I'm here for us to go through all the different ways that we can challenge our thinking, our decision making in every sphere of life, really. So I am so happy to have you here. If you would like to find out more about my work and how you can engage with me, everything is available in the description. If you haven't subscribed, please do consider doing so. I'm not new to content creation. However, this is a new endeavor over here on this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.